After 200 meters, you will reach your destination. Destination is on your right.
Increasing trend and increasing, I hope, speed of these laws where they remain, but they will be removed.
What do these women's families say about their daughters being forced to marry the men who raped them?
Well, you know, what I was saying earlier about the social understanding of sexual relations outside marriage, even if they're forced, is that it often is interpreted as a slight or as a stain on a collective.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. What can I do for you today, sir?
Okay, I would like one bean burrito,
Okay.
one cheesy potato burrito,
Cheesy potato burrito?
yeah, and one quesarito.
One quesarito?
Yeah.
Anything else for you today?
That'd be all.
Is everything correct on your screen, sir?
Looks right.
Any sauces tonight?
Diablo sauce would be great.
Alrighty. 703. One three-cheese burrito.
We're going to take two cheese burritos.
Two chili cheese burritos?
Yes. And I'm ordering nachos and cheese.
Okay.
And then state your drink, Coke or Pepsi.
Okay.
And a strawberry fiesta.
The strawberry fiesta?
Yeah.
What's up? Small, medium, or large?
Large, please.
Fiesta?
Strawberry. Large.
We only have the brick ice cream thing up here. I don't know what the strawberry.
You'll take the blue raspberry.
Oh, the freebie?
Yeah, you need the blue raspberry cream. Yeah. Blue red, yeah.
Regular or what?
Large.
Blue raspberry is actually on defrost right now. Can I get you anything else? Ma'am,
While you thinking.
alrighty.
No, nothing else, thank you.
Alrighty, let's make sure that you cream 628.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Heather.
703? Alright, there's that.
Thank you. Oh. I drove off accidentally. I knew that was gonna happen.
Transparency. I think publishing the data, showing our employees the data, and regularly looking at and talking about our data. And we talk about this a lot. I think that transparency really helps us see where we're hurting and where we need to fix and dive in with quick solutions.
Google has thrown money at the diversity problem, more than $250 million. But this company, which values metrics so much, it's all about the data, it has not publicly stated any measurable goals when it comes to diversity hiring or employee retention. Google hasn't disclosed the numbers of new hires or of exits by gender and race. This heated moment could be a teachable moment. The lesson from Intel, Brown explained when she was their diversity czar, was public pressure and scrutiny makes goals more real.
We did make tremendous progress on women this year, and specifically what we were able to do this year is help really narrow the gap in female representation.
NPR requested an interview with Danielle Brown to talk about her plans at her new company. A Google spokesperson declined NPR's request and said, quote, "I can't tell you what the strategy is going to be. We can't say one way or the other. Danielle's going to try to mimic her work at
Disability, religion, and viewpoint or political
Hello.
ideology isn't one.
Well, if Airbnb
Thank you very much.
can discriminate against white nationalists, who next? I mean, can they just discriminate against anyone they like as long as it doesn't cross these lines that are spelled out in federal and perhaps state law of race, gender, etc.?
Well, that raises an interesting question about what is discrimination and when ought it to be prohibited. So we use the term discrimination in a kind of ambiguous way. Sometimes what we mean is simply drawing distinctions on the basis of a particular trait, and sometimes we mean wrongfully doing that. So, for example, in almost every state, or every state I imagine, you have to be a certain age to drive, so 16 is common. So that's, in one sense, discrimination on the basis of age.
Right.
But most of us, particularly those of us with teenagers, think that's perfectly permissible. So in that case, we're talking about discrimination in the second sense, that is wrongfully drawing distinctions on the basis of a trait. that example helps us to see that it's not always problematic or impermissible to treat people differently on the basis of a particular trait. So the question you're getting at is, should a company like Airbnb be able to draw distinctions on the basis of the trait of viewpoints, even though they can't on the basis of certain prohibited traits? And I think that's a deep and interesting question.
Meaning, is Airbnb a service that should be available to everyone, or can Airbnb say this is a service for people who check the following boxes, and as long as that checklist doesn't defy federal law, it can be as narrowly tailored as they want it to be?
Exactly. And it's interesting both to think about whether they are required to be open to everybody, and interestingly, though this issue is being framed as one dealing with discrimination, I think a better analogy is boycotts. Many people choose not to patronize certain businesses because they don't like the politics or the policies of those companies.
And so this is almost like a reverse boycott, where instead of people boycotting the company is boycotting the people? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. That is it okay for a big corporation to use its economic power to express its political views?
Do you think this is similar to Twitter and Facebook banning people who post what they see as hateful or offensive content?
I think it's similar in the sense that we should remember that Facebook and Twitter are not the government, that the government has an obligation not to distinguish among people on the basis of viewpoint, which is why the city of Charlottesville is obligated to allow the alt-right to protest, but private entities can make those distinctions, and Facebook and Twitter are doing it, and so is Airbnb.
It's law professor Deborah Hellman of the University of Virginia speaking with us from Charlottesville. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me.